my name is Jasmine and welcome back to Just Affording Life. Today, we're going to talk about downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So I'm a yoga teacher, and ever since my gym reopened after being shut down due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I haven't gotten regular yoga students, my regulars. I've gotten beginners, which is okay, but I've gotten beginners that have never taken a yoga class. Don't know what downward facing dog is, don't know what child's pose is. So today and going forward, I'm just going to run through the basics of each pose, pose by pose, just the beginning poses, so that you can at least have confidence when you walk into a yoga class when things go back to normal. So if you're a beginner, never taken yoga, this video is for you. If you just want to brush up on some of your poses, this video is for you. If you want to improve your form, this video is for you. So we're going to talk about downward facing dog. Right now I'm going to demonstrate it. So downward facing dog. Alright. So let's talk about that pose. The first thing is our hands. Your fingers should be spread wide. Not like this, wide. I mean, don't like break skin, but wide enough. The second thing is your hand placement. Your hands should be in a place where you can easily shift forward into plank without moving your hands or moving your feet. So for a lot of us, myself included, we tend to want to put our feet on the ground, make sure our heels are on the ground, and make sure we just want to be yoga rock stars. And it's more about form and having patience with your body than it is about feeling good about yourself because you can put your feet on the ground. So my downward dog used to be too short, and sometimes it still is. So I used to be like this. Great, I have my feet on the ground. That's awesome. But if I try to shift forward into plank, I can't really do it without moving my feet back or moving my hands forward. So, that being said, you want to make sure that you can easily move into plank, shift into plank without moving anything other than the things that need to be moved. So, my fingers are wide, and right here, my shoulder is right above my wrist. Can't really see it, but shoulder is right above my wrist. So, when I go into my downward facing dog, and if I need to shift forward into plank, I don't move my feet or my hands. I'm just perfectly fine, and I can go back into my downward facing dog. The other thing, still focusing on the upper body, are your arms. So I'm a hyperextender, which means I can easily, and we'll talk about this a little bit later when we get to our legs and our knees, which means I'm just super flexible and I can sit in my joints and not really get the strength building benefits of the poses, and downward facing dog was no different for me. So when you're doing downward facing dog, you don't want to sit in your joints like this. It's great that now my feet are touching the ground. I feel amazing, ego-wise, but I'm not really getting I'm not building any strength in this pose. So, you want to push the mat away from you, and that will engage your shoulders and the back of the body. And then shift back. You want your chest to go towards your thighs. It doesn't need to touch, because then that would just be a forward fold. But you want it towards your thighs. And then you want to engage the arms. Push the mat away from you. And then if you want, you turn your elbow creases in towards each other. And that'll help activate the arms, so you don't want to just be like this. You want to turn them in a little bit. See? So, upper body. Fingers are wide. Press the mat away from you. Hands are far enough away from the feet that if you need to shift forward into plank, you can do it without moving your hands or your feet. Chest is towards your thighs. And elbow creases face each other. Okay. Now let's talk about the back of the body. So, number one, I keep saying this over and over, so we're just going to talk about it now, is you don't necessarily need to have your feet touch the ground. If they can touch the ground, that's great. But if they can't, that is okay. Just have patience with your body, and one day you will be flexible enough to have your heels touch the ground. That being said, if you're not flexible enough for your heels to touch the ground, it's okay that they're off of the mat. It's okay, because you are still reaping the benefits of the pose, and you have proper form. So this helps you avoid injury. Now, as you can see, if I'm truthfully in a downward facing dog and I'm not too short or too long, my feet don't quite touch the ground. And if they do, then I have to hyperextend so you can see that my knee is completely straight, which is not good. So I need to bend my knees a little bit or have my heels up off the ground. Whatever works. So if you can't get your heels on the ground, that is okay. If you're doing it properly, that's what matters. So if you need to, you can bend your knees, rest your belly on the thighs. Keep your heels off the ground. Whatever works for you to have proper form. The other thing is that you want your feet hip width distance apart. And when we think of hips, we think of the meat, but we really need the skeleton, the bone. So, because as we all know, we can get bigger or smaller with the meat. So you want to take your two fists, and if you can touch your toes, bring them together, wrap your feet around your fist. Can't quite see me. There we go. Wrap your feet around your fist, and that is your true hip width distance. Your bone, not your meat, not your flesh. So, unless you are told otherwise, in your downward facing dog, you don't want your feet together, and you don't want them as wide as your mat. You want them hip width distance apart. And that is how you can work on your downward facing dog. I hope this video was helpful. Make sure you have patience with your body. I cannot stress that enough. Don't sit in your joints. It's not good. It doesn't build strength. It kind of hurts after a while. And let me know what the next pose, what is the next pose you guys would like to see or want me to go over. And let me know what you want to work on. If you want yoga flows, if this is okay, any tips or pointers, let me know in the comments below. And thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.